Welcome to Just an Average Citizen, the podcast that helps to educate, inform, and empower you to make an impact in Abilene and the Big Country. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Just an Average Citizen. You know, we are tackling a bunch this week. It seems there's a lot of complicated moving parts that probably you've not really had many conversations about. I guarantee you've probably never had a conversation about some of this stuff. And I'm going to try and break it down and make it easy for you. So it's really important that you subscribe and share this podcast with your family and friends so that they too can have some access to information that's not readily available. A sweet friend of mine even said today, she goes, Tammy, I know you spend a lot of time doing research to make it easy for us to understand. And I was like, yeah, I guess I do. I don't even think about it because it's like, I just have this burning question, like, how did this happen? And I want to know how things work. And so I just go down this rabbit trail trying to figure out what makes this work? Where does this go? And it's really fun, some of the nuggets I come across when I'm doing this. And a lot of it I don't get to share with you because you just don't really have that much time or care to know these things. But it's neat to see how things build, and I want to help empower you to know what's going on in your community so that you can know when things are coming up and respond to them appropriately. And remember, I'm wearing my name tag that says my name and Just an Average Citizen, so I can remind you that you are created just the way you are to be an influence and to bring things to the community that we need. And God has given you different gifts and talents, and that's important for us to be able to encourage and help people walk in so that while we all have different roles to play, we all need to play that role. And so everyone could wear this fancy gold name tag. And you too can get it on Amazon if you want to. But I just want people to recognize that it's not supposed to be hard. It's not supposed to be a part of like this, big time-consuming thing. It's supposed to be a part of our regular day-to-day life. And I love it when things come up in conversation. Like right now, we're having lots of discussion that are bringing people together and talking about things that normally are not, you don't want to be political, but when it comes to our kids and schools, we really know how to stand our ground and be like, hey, this is not okay, or hey, this is what I want. And so that's really good because the more we start to talk about and normalize these conversations, the better. You don't have to know all the things that I know, but it's helpful to know some of these pieces so that you can go, hey, I understand what's going on. So we're going to tackle a couple of things. And honestly, I don't spend all my days doing this. I do have some strategic calendar time that I set aside. And when I see something's coming up, I make sure that I have some free time to do it. And I can't make everything, but I really do try to prioritize certain things like the state of the city that was on Tuesday afternoon. And then I was not super excited that they then called a special city council meeting on Tuesday morning. So that meant I was like there for probably 4 or 5 hours doing city stuff, and that takes up a lot of time. And then to process it all and figure out and fact check and try and do all the stuff, it's a lot. And so I try to balance it, but it's fun. And it's what God's called me to do right now. And I'm glad I can bring these tools to help you. And while it's not a paid gig, I'm not profiting off of this. I just really want to help empower you to be not just an average citizen, but to be a powerful influence in our community by exercising the rights and privileges you have as a citizen of Abilene, Texas, or even Taylor County or the Big Country. So let's get into what I wanted to share with you today. Let's see here. Yes, this is the first one. So we had a special city council meeting, and this is interesting because I am learning so much. And just when I think I figured it all out, I have some trusted sources that I ask questions to, and they're like, no, that's not it. And I'm like, oh. And then I get to flesh it out and go, okay. And then I grasp it, I understand it, and I learn it to the degree that will help me explain it to you and also to understand how to put things on a grid for future things that come across the path. So what happened is there's a company called Lancium coming to Abilene. It's pretty much a done deal. There's no stopping it. So let's not waste our time protesting this because it's coming. Let's figure out a way to help set up a framework so that we understand what's coming to Abilene earlier and we can be a part of the conversation. Although, like Misty Mayo said at the State of the City, this has been in the works for 5 years. So this isn't new. We're just now coming to terms it's coming to light in a way that probably affects us more than in years past. They were supposed to, in fact, the gentleman here, asked the question of have they fulfilled their first contract or was it amended? And it was indeed amended. So while it looked like to the public they hadn't, it actually was. And sometimes it's hard to track these details. And so it's definitely this tension you walk into going, okay, do I know all the facts and am I correct? Or is there a missing piece that would explain everything? And then if I say something about it, I'm going to look like an idiot. it's a fun tension to walk in. There's about 50-50. I look like an idiot, and sometimes I do have all the facts. And that's okay. We learn and grow. But what it is this company has been developing, it's changed several different goals over the course of being in Abilene. And now it's working on AI data information, stuff like that. It's helping generate tools for other things, different industries and stuff. But the biggest concern is there's a big old company. I think there's billions of dollars being invested in this company in 20 different locations. So when you see the number of what they're investing in this project, remember, it's not just in Abilene, it's all over. And so the thing is we have to remember that cities have to be competitive and offer sweet deals and make it worth the while for the company to come in. And so one of the ways they can do that is through tax abatement. And it helps them get started, get their feet wet, get going and get solid, and then start contributing more heavily to the tax revenue base. And that's a good thing for us because right now it seems like citizens have a heavy burden, and there's few companies that invest in, but we're not meeting our needs right now, and we need some more revenue generated in our community. And this is an important step, I think, to do from what I can understand. Now, again, this is already done, so we can't stop it. We didn't get invited to be a part of the conversation. We just have to learn how to navigate through it as it being a part of our community. And I'm curious to know how much the timing of Trump's announcement about this Stargate AI stuff and the connection to it all falling into place in Abilene. It's really interesting. And again, I'm not part of that conversation, so I don't know. But there's a lot of things that just kind of hit the fan at once, and it's like, whoo. So as citizens, we need to understand this tax abatement makes it an inviting place for them to come and invest their dollars. And so what it is, then they actually have to have what's called a TIRZ, or a tax increment reinvestment zone. And in order to have the abatement, they have to have the zone, or a TIRZ, to be able to, for it to be street legal and whatnot. And so the special meeting was called to enact this TIRZ so that it was far enough before the next city council meeting so that they can confirm it at the next city council meeting on the second reading. And basically what a TIRZ does is it sets aside tax money to be reinvested into that area so that instead of getting the taxes on the revenue on the property now, they reinvest it for a few decades. As typical TIRZ are about 20 to 30 years. I don't know what this TIRZ is. I haven't seen the paperwork on it yet, but they reinvest. And I take this back. This may just be for the tax abatement now that I'm thinking of it. They're setting up the TIRZ for the tax abatement. So I'm not sure if they'll have that reinvestment part like they do in downtown. So like in downtown, the Cypress Street maintenance job, that is all TIRZ money paying off the debt that was taken out to build that. I mean, they take a portion of the property taxes and put it towards the street debt until that's paid off, with the hopes that it'll bring in businesses, raise property taxes. But it's a little bit dicier in the downtown area. In fact, even like Abilene Heritage Square that's being built at the Lincoln Middle School has benefited from the TIRZ, even though like they're barely, like their borders are touching. So it's like a technical thing, but it's confusing to me how a nonprofit can get more money from the citizens to fix up their building when they're a nonprofit, and we've already contributed several different benefits to them. So it gets kind of dicey in the city, but this tax abatement is a benefit to drawing the company here. And so the resources it uses are not too concerning. They have a plan. Let me just say that. They have a plan. The water is going to be recycled in such a way that they won't need bukus of water, supposedly, so that they've got that manageable. And then also, the electricity, there's some ways of using renewable resources in our area, supposedly, to help them navigate through that. So with that said, I'm not really sure the excitement level I should have, but I've been told it's a really awesome thing. And based on the state of the city and the way everybody responded on the panel and everybody in the room, you would think that the president was coming to Abilene. So I'm thinking that most people in the business industry are really excited about this. I'm not really sure how this benefits us as a citizen individually, except that it builds our tax base, which means that we have better revenues and we can take care of our city in a better way, because we know from last month's retreat that there are a lot of millions, in the hundreds of millions of needs that we need to take care of. And I'm not sure how we're going to take care of it. There's two options. They can take a vote, send it to the voters to vote on a bond, kind of like they did at the fire station and the recreation centers, or they can take out what's called a certificate of obligation for capital improvement projects, and they can use it to, improve the city that way, which both ways, it doesn't matter how it happens, will increase our taxes. So we need companies to come in, and we'll see if Lancium is a good fit. Part of it is the deal has to be worked behind closed doors, or else, others might sweeten the deal more and take them away from us. So, I understand this dynamic. It's hard to step into this not having stepped into things before. And a lot of people are concerned about it. But I think we need to see the benefits of it and how it's going to help our city. And I hope it is a helpful thing. I hope that the items they're working on will be a benefit to our community and to the nation. And it's not something that we look down the road and go, oh, what did we open a can of worms there? So, but again, it's new and exciting. So let's be excited about it for a while until we're not. And then we'll move from there. All right. So that took probably 15 minutes, 30 minutes, maybe. It wasn't a super long meeting. And I'm going to come here real quick and show you. Sorry. I thought this was handy. Unfortunately, they don't put the slides. Oh, yeah, that's right. I got the slides. I had to ask a public information request to get the slides from the retreat meeting because they don't post those online, which is dumb. I'm just saying it's dumb. I don't know why they don't do it. If they're going to show it in the meeting, then just post it after the meeting so we can go back and look at it, because you can see it on the screens. And it just seems like yeah, if you're not here present, you don't get to see it. And we don't really care that you don't get to see what's going on because we don't think you're watching. Now, I don't really think that's what they think, but that's how it comes across. And so I'm trying to learn how to have a better relationship with the people in the office, because I'm not against them, but there's some practices that I think of just what they've always done. And I think there's better ways to make a lot of things work better. So they did put this little synopsis here on the website. It's under the news. And so you come in here. So here are the city council goals. They pick these, I don't know how many years ago, and I'm not really sure how they update them. But this is what they say. This is kind of what is their grid for doing things. To practice effective governance, exercise sound financial discipline, create high quality of life for residents, develop and maintain reliable infrastructure, consistently provide excellent service, encourage economic growth, actively foster and seek an engaged community. All right, so those are the council goal, the strategic goals. So they had this theme of a black hole, and I will say I appreciate the staff for working hard to set up an environment that makes it feel exciting. The crowd seemed smaller this year, and I don't know if it's because it was Mayor Hurt's second year instead of last year being his first, I believe. I'm not really sure, but I had a place to sit, and it wasn't, I was able to sit down and enjoy it a little bit from a chair rather than standing the whole time. But I was hoping for a little bit more pizzazz, or I don't know, I will say that I saw the theme, but as one who works with media and video stuff, and just, I've directed and paid attention to this stuff, it's it just felt like a lost opportunity. And again, I'm not sure the circumstances or how things go. So that's the only thing. I was just I really was impressed last year. And this year, I don't know if it's because they didn't show as many videos or what, which they were trying to be mindful of time. And so there's that aspect, but it's the quality they did, the videos they did were quality. They were impressive. I really liked the editing process. It was just the content that they chose. And again, it's not mine, so they didn't ask me. But I just wanted to touch here really quickly. They had a panel with the city manager, Robert Hanna, Misty Mayo from the DCOA, Doug Peters from the Chamber of Commerce, Judge Crowley from Taylor County, John Kuhn from Abilene ISD, and Joey Light from Wiley ISD. And then they focused on 5 areas. The downtown improvements Cypress Street improvements. They showed what that was going to look like. The $9.549 million in construction. They talked about the phases, and then they talked about the street maintenance. And I did post that on my Facebook page, if you follow me there, to see if you thought the information that was presented was helpful. And again, I asked what was helpful about it. If it wasn't helpful, what did you want to know? What was missing from it? Because I do think that sometimes they don't know the audience as well as I wish they did. And I've been trying to tell them about the audience that is not quite getting the information that's needed. And so to me, it felt a little flat. Based on what I heard at the retreat and what I heard there, it just, again, this is kind of like showing the recap of your family vacation rather than showing every picture. So I get that too. the water infrastructure. They talked about what was going to be coming up with the PFAS and the plastics that they're going to have to be getting out. And then they talked about the quality of life and bond projects. They talked about the Abilene Zoo bond project and the flat fields, the rock, and then the recreation centers, what they're doing for those, and talked about how it was funded with the bond money. So again, I did learn this week because I went to the library, or last week I went to the library advisory board meeting, that they are closing the Mockingbird branch. They were actually paying $100,000 in rent through a lease at that place. So they're closing that down in December, and they're going to be opening up satellite libraries is the best way I would actually describe it. Maybe not satellite. They're going to have little branches at each of the rec centers. And so the librarians from Mockingbird are going to be moving to the rec centers, but there's going to be a lapse from January to probably April. So there won't be any library on the north side of town while the Abilene Heritage Square, well, the downtown one, I guess. I mean, I'm not sure when they're going to close that one because they have to move everything over. And I've asked them to make sure there's not bad books in that library when they start open everything up new, but they're not going to do that because they only want to be go through one book at a time based on a citizen filling out the paperwork to do all that burden. Also, it was interesting to me, the library advisory board didn't even seem to know about the branch closing because it was announced to them. And I was like, it's funny when a citizen in the audience knows more about what's going on than the advisory board. And then one of the ladies on the board, she's like, okay, now tell me again where the rec centers are. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like these are people supposed to be engaged and involved in our community. And the lady didn't even know where the rec centers were going to be. And that's just, a standard I think we can do better in. Then also the rebuild infill housing, ABI infill housing. Again, I think infill development is important. One of the things I missed is, again, I don't know public safety. I feel like public safety should be always on there. What are we doing to make that better? But it's not seemingly to be one of the main goals right now. So they're building new houses with a little incentive to get some money back if they complete it under the parameters given, and building new houses or rebuilding or refurbishing houses and less desirable areas is always going to help most of the time move in the right direction. So again, I think this is a long-term investment and people seem to be taking up the money. The $1 million is already gone for this fiscal year. Community engagement and next steps. So they talked about different things from the Abilene School District, sunsetting Ortiz and Thomas, and how they're going to be able to choose what school. But what I hear is it's lottery style. So they'll have to see those outcomes. And then what was it? Taylor County, Judge Crowley talked about the infrastructure he's trying to work on and adding more ambulances to improve response time. And the DCOA, of course, talked about Lancium, and the Abilene Chamber of Commerce talked about the importance of how a city takes care of its downtown reflects how the city is. And so I guess that's why they're investing so much time, because they want the city downtown to look good. So the rest of the city, I guess, is like that. And again, the order to me is I'm still learning why it's in that order. I'm not sure. Okay. And I think that was all the highlights for that. Again, you can watch it. I think, let's see here. That's the old video. You can watch it. The Abilene Independent School District actually did the recording and editing, I guess, and helped maybe with the stuff. But yeah, I didn't get the black hole. I mean, I thought it was supposed to be, I get it. It was supposed to be cute, but it seemed a little, what is the word I'm looking for? I don't know. It just didn't quite deliver what I'd hoped for. So they have all these different slides and the videos, and Rodney Taylor, the water guy, I just happened to get on there. Rodney Taylor, he's retiring at the end of February, and that's a big loss to the city because he was a very, very skilled man a lot of seasons. Oh yeah, I didn't like the kid part. I'm not a fan of kids talking about bathroom humor on a camera. Like, I didn't know if the parents even were asked, are you okay with the kids talking about bathroom behavior? As a teacher, so it's like, bathroom behavior with things we do in the bathroom, we don't talk about in public. Like, there's a sense of decency that we've lost in our society because we've just made everything fair game to talk about, and our kids have lost their innocence. And I felt, and everybody loved it, and they laughed, and they thought, the Don Albus poop video was funny too. And again, I think it's crass, and I think we lost decorum in the public. So I brought the calendar up because we're wrapping it up. The Airport Development Board. I will say, if you want to watch a board meeting that's interesting, that one is definitely interesting. Don Green runs a tight meeting. I'm still learning all the different players in the city, and I'm always impressed with his knowledge and his ability to move through it. I'm not impressed with his agenda because it's just cookie rubber stamped every time. So, you can't bat 1,000 all the time, right? But that's all that's happening. And I used to do this more, so I don't know why I'm going back into my old world of telling you what's coming up. But there's a city council this week. Just standard stuff that's going on. And so hope that helped you understand a little bit more about TIRZ, the Lancium project. I hope you understand about the state of a city, why it's important to see the way they celebrate things. And I will say that it was really interesting comparative year to year. When I watched the state of the city last year, I was kind of in awe going, wow, there's a lot of information, blah, blah. I mean, I felt like a fire hydrant. And I think the way they presented it was also that way. And I was still learning all the ropes. And this year I was like, oh yeah, I knew about that. Okay, that's not how I would describe that. Oh yeah, okay, tracking with that. And so again, I really try to bring you the facts that I have studied from the documents on the city. And if you ever want to ask me about something, please do, because I'll be happy to show you the documentation as best as I can, or I will find it, because again, I go through a lot of stuff in a given week. And I'll close with this. It was really cute. One of the councilmen walked up to me while I was in a conversation at the state of the city, and he goes, "Oh, what's on your name tag?" And I was like, "Just an average citizen." And he goes, "Oh, well, is that for your podcast?" I was like, "No, I'm just trying to get citizens involved. I really want to get citizens more involved." And he goes, "Oh, so it's just to make you look." And I was like, "Well, kind of." And he goes, "Well, I guess it worked on me." I was like, "Yeah, it did. You looked." And that's it. We just want to get people to start talking and getting engaged. And I think what I'm doing is a little extreme. It's not for everybody, but I don't think that it's too far-fetched for us to all increase our involvement and our knowledge of what's going on in the city. So I hope that this helped you be a little bit more informed, a little bit more educated, and empowered to make an impact in Abilene and the big country. Until next time.